is Histories and Mysteries. I'm Ashley.
I'm Jessica, and on this week's episode, Ashley is going to be talking about the murder of Willie Knighton.
Yes.
And I'm going to be talking about Japan's infamous suicide forest.
I am very anxious to hear about the suicide forest because I know there's been like a couple like spooky movies after it. And I know it's a really sad thing, but it's just very interesting.
It's a weird phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's very sad, and we'll get into it.
Okay.
So again, lots of content warning, trigger warning, all that good stuff
Mm-hmm.
that should come along with this.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, shout out to my husband because he recommended it.
Aw, thanks, Kyle.
And I'm starting to do research on the couch like at nighttime so that him and I can kind of be in the same room together instead of me just being shoved in the closet upstairs researching. And he came over to give me a kiss, and I like closed all the windows because I didn't want him to know what I was watching or researching.
So it really looks like you're like having an affair, but you're not.
Yeah. Exactly.
My husband and I were joking around today because he's waiting on an email, and I had his email pulled up because like you know how when you pull up like if you pull up your browser, whoever is like the primary Google Chrome user, their email pulls up first.
Yeah.
And then I have to go to mine. So he made a joke. He's like, why are you checking my email? I was like, what? You got like hot bitches emailing you all the time? Or what I say, like you cheating on me or whatever? And he goes, yeah, I do it through email.
I mean, less likely to look there.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Although that is how I caught one of my boyfriends cheating, was through email, but this was years ago.
Oh my gosh.
This was years ago. So
poor girl.
He was a state trooper. Boo.
Oh.
Anyway, you're such a dick. Such a dick.
Ashley.
What?
I know that it's like well past when it's supposed to come out, but everybody, we're recording on September 29th. And Hocus Pocus 2 comes out tomorrow.
I'm having people over watching Hocus Pocus.
Actually,
What?
Why wasn't I invited?
Because you live 9 hours away.
Who cares?
Where one of my friends here hasn't seen the first Hocus Pocus.
That's bullshit.
I don't even know why I'm her friend.
I don't either.
And so she's coming
Tess?
over. Yeah, it's Tess.
Oh, fuck you, Tess.
So Tess is coming over, and our friend Ireland's coming over. We're gonna watch the first one, and then we're gonna watch the second one.
Nice. I'm gonna try and convince Kyle to watch the first one with me again tonight.
Yay!
Because I love it so much. I was really upset the other day, and you put The Mummy on for me.
Oh, that's nice.
I was watching Downton Abbey and folding laundry in our bedroom, and then he just comes upstairs, turns it off, and I'm like, "What the actual?" And he turns on The Mummy, and I'm like,
"Oh, okay.
You're forgiven."
I was about to murder you.
Yes, accurate. And shout out to our listener Terry. She posts a lot in our Facebook group.
Yeah, we love Terry.
Yeah, and she posted some Brendan Fraser articles lately. So
oh, that one where he gets the standing ovation and gets all teary-eyed.
Oh, it made me cry.
He's so sweet.
I love him. And he's dating somebody.
Good for him.
I know, she looks so nice. And they look like they're the same age.
Good.
So that's refreshing. I love it. I'm really happy he's happy.
Yeah.
And he is like getting the recognition he's deserved his whole life.
Yeah. It's just sad that it took this long for him to like be able to, get through everything that happened to him.
But at least he got through it all.
Yeah. I just wish none of it had happened to him.
I know. I love him.
His career was really taken off.
It really was. Like he was in everything.
Yeah. I just watched Blast from the Past the other day. That was good.
I know, you told me.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it several times, but I just love it.
It's so good. I love it so much.
It's really cute.
I love him. Sorry,
all right, murder.
Everybody. so excited.
So this was another first 48. And
Thought you didn't like it.
I didn't. But the two that I did last, or the one I did last week and the one I did this week were in one episode together. So I was like, well, I'll do them both.
That did it seem odd to you that they might be short ones?
Well, it was still like a long episode. And I didn't realize there was two in one until I started watching it.
Okay.
But yeah. So, okay. This actually happened the day after and just across town in Atlanta from my story from last week.
Oh.
Yeah. The local police found a man in a red Jeep slumped over dead. They were able to trace the plates back and found that it belonged to 63-year-old Willie Knighton. He was an Army and National Guard veteran. So he was in the Army, and then afterwards he joined the National Guard and retired from the National Guard. And he was in both of those a combination of like 30 plus years.
Oh.
He had 2 sons and 5 grandchildren. And poor Willie had been shot in the chest, the shoulder, and one in his hand. He was found with quite a bit of money in his pocket and some more money in his wallet. And it looked like there were shots fired on both sides of the vehicle. There were 6 bullet holes in total. But they were only able to recover 5 shell casings. And they saw that they were from 2 different guns, a 40 caliber and a 45 caliber.
Oh.
They had one witness on the scene, and he said that he was coming through the park last night and he saw 2 black guys and a white woman hanging out on this like little wall thing in the park. It was like a concrete, like almost like a step type thing near Willie's truck. He described the people, and that's really all he had. So police started canvassing around the neighborhood, around the park. And one older lady said she did hear gunshots after 11 p.m. and that she knew a sex worker who was white hung out in the park a lot. She said that the white lady and the black guy were there at night a lot of the time.
I don't like that that's the terminology she used, but okay.
The white lady and black guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Willie's family was watching the news, and they had it on the news that a man was murdered in a red Jeep, and they recognized his Jeep and his plates, and that's how they found out he was murdered.
Oh, amazing.
I know. So
why do they do that?
I don't know. And I don't know if they put it on the news prior to detectives figuring out who he was, or if detectives just didn't get to the family before the news reported it. I don't know. Either way, it's awful. But they saw that, so they called the police department, and the detectives headed over. They said that Willie didn't have any enemies. He stayed away from trouble. I mean, he was 63, a retired vet. Like, he wasn't doing anything crazy on the weekends. And they have no idea who could have done this. Detectives asked if they knew why he was in that area. And the family said that he goes that way to work. And in fact, when he didn't show up for work, his supervisor actually got nervous and called the family. But the only lead they had was that one witness that said he saw that female in the park, and the woman in the neighborhood. So they didn't really have a lot to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Detectives thought that maybe if they started going out at night and like talking to a lot of these other sex workers, maybe they could get some information. If nothing else, at least put pressure on whoever it was that was there, knowing that people are walking around asking about her. So they did do that. But they didn't get a ton of information. I mean, I'm sure most sex workers don't trust police and aren't going to just like divulge things.
Well, of course not. Like, why would they?
Yeah. So, but again, he hoped that just putting the word out there would put the pressure on. A bit later, he was driving around and he saw what looked like a sex worker walking down the road. She was white, so he stopped to talk to her. And he said, "Why do you think I'm talking to you for?" And she said, "Well, that man that got shot in the park." But she said she didn't know anything about it. And he said, "Who's the other white girl? People said there was a white girl. You know, I'm going to stop everybody I see. So that means nobody's going to get in any work. Everybody going to lose money." And she was like, "Well, there is this woman that goes by Cash, and she goes around with a man named Red who might know something about the murder." So finally, they had a lead, kind of.
Those are weird. Like, why?
It's the nicknames.
Names.
I don't know. Yeah. So detectives start to look for a woman named Cash and a man named Red. So they're still kind of going around canvassing and asking different sex workers about this. He then walks up to a sex worker who is white, and she's like, "Yeah, I go by the name Cash." And he's like, "Ah, I've been looking for you. Come with me to the station. We've got some questions for you." So he asked why she thought she was there, and she said she didn't know, but she had heard that there was someone who was shot in the park. He asked her if she used a pimp, and she said yes. They call him Red. He said, "I'm going to ask you straight up. Did Red have something to do with this?" And she said, "No, I know he didn't." She said she did hear something about who it was and that he had a tattoo on his eye and has another white girl with him with blondish hair. She did give a nickname for the guy she thought it was, but she didn't know the girl's name.
I love that it's always just like the back and forth.
I know.
Like, I know who it is, but I don't really know their name.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's so helpful.
Exactly. But because she didn't know the nickname, at least, a lot of times when they're arrested, they write down their like street names and nicknames and stuff like that. So he looked up the guy by the nickname, and he did find this one guy who had tattoos on his face. He was known for going around with a blonde female, but the female was locked up in county jail. So he's like, "Oh, perfect. I'll go pay her a visit." According to her, Willie saw her walking down the road and picked her up. She brought him to the park. She said they got into an argument and she was pissed off, so she got out and slammed the door. She said she called her boyfriend and he said he would be there in a second. And he walked up and he said, "I'm ready to start robbing some motherfuckers." And she was like, "Okay, well, I have to go pee." So
Priorities.
So she left to go to their house, which was like close to the park. And she said while she was there, she heard gunshots, and then her boyfriend walked back into the house. She said she saw his gun, but she only saw one gun. Remember, they found 2 different size bullets. But she did say that he had a lot of bullets in different sizes.
But correct me if I'm gun stupid. Doesn't one gun only take one size bullets?
So I am also gun stupid, and I didn't know, and I Googled it.
Okay.
And from what I saw, certain guns can use different bullet sizes, but they can't use different cartridge sizes. So I don't know. Take with that what you will.
That was not helpful.
I know. It was not helpful to me either. So after this, police were able to get a search warrant for the boyfriend's house. And holy shit, Jessica, they had this search on like recorded because, like I said, it was kind of like they were following the detectives around.
Yeah.
And they actually had the narc unit go in.
Oh, wow.
They went in hard.
Hot.
Oh my God. Like, I know that they were looking for a murderer, right? Or a possible murderer. But they just seemed a bit excessive because they had like all this stuff to knock down their doors. They were kicking in indoor doors. They were like screaming at everybody to, come out with their hands up. It was intense.
I mean, doesn't it need to be intense though?
Probably, but I just seemed like a lot. So the suspect was there. And they brought him out. And then they brought in a very good police doggo to try and sniff out for guns.
Aww.
And he did find marijuana, cocaine, and crack cocaine, but he didn't find any weapons.
Aww. He did a good job.
He did a great job, and I hope they gave him lots of treats afterwards.
Yeah.
So they brought in the suspect for questioning. He did say he heard what happened in the park, but he had never been to the park that night. He wasn't there all day or all night. They asked him what he does for money.
Oh, okay. What was his answer?
He babysits.
Oh. Okay.
No, he's a pimp. He doesn't babysit.
But that was his answer.
That was his answer. The detective, when he said I babysit, I swear to God, I saw him try to hold back a laugh.
Well, of course, it's fucking stupid.
And then he said, well, you know, might do a little hustling. And my girl might do a little hustling. She might call someone and be like, hey, you need a girl or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
But he kept saying over and over that he was with his girl all day at this hotel. And never in the park. And the detective said, are you willing to bet your life on the fact that your girlfriend is saying the same thing? And he said, yeah, I love her. You know, she's my baby. I love her. And then they played him her interview, which I feel like, I don't know how these things work, but I feel like that's illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not, because otherwise they would have done it, but that seems like that could get her killed.
Yeah.
So anyway, they played her the interview, and even after that, he was like, no, man, I was in the hotel the whole night. It wasn't me. And he would not confess. He was arrested for the drug charges, but to this day, no one has been arrested for the murder of Willie Knighton.
Wow.
Yeah, and I tried to find more on like anything that's happened in this case since 2014, and there's nothing.
Jeez, eh?
Yeah, so I think he's the one who did it, but they just don't have any evidence. And so it just kind of went cold.
Well, thank you for your story, Ashley.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's really, you need to stop bringing in unsolved cases.
Well, I mean, like this one was pretty much solved. They just couldn't like officially solve it.
Exactly. It's not solved if it's not officially solved, Ashley.
All right, I will stop.
Because it drives me bonkers because I just want to know who done it.
Yeah, you want the information. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. Anyways, would you like to hear my story now?
I would.
Okay. So, as Ashley has mentioned, I am going to be talking about the suicide forest in Japan. And I got my sources from All That's Interesting, Mental Floss, and Vice. It's a shorty, but a goodie.
Okay.
And I apologize for the pronunciations again. I do try my best. I look up all the pronunciations. My little brain just can't function. So, okay. Aokigahara is a 30 square kilometer forest located at the foot of Mount Fuji, Japan's highest mountain peak. For many years, the eerie forest was known as the Sea of Trees. However, in recent decades, it has acquired a new moniker, Suicide Forest. Aokigahara is a site of untamed beauty and tranquility for some visitors. To get breathtaking views of Mount Fuji, hikers seeking a challenge can navigate through dense groves of trees, tangled roots, and rocky terrain. On field trips, schools will occasionally bring students to see the area's well-known ice caves. But it's also super creepy because the trees have grown so close to one another that guests will spend a lot of their time in the shadows, and only the sporadic trickle of sunlight that emerges through holes in the treetops provides relief from the darkness.
Oh, wow.
And I was watching this video from Vice, And they were following, I believe, one of the like kind of the he wasn't like a forest trooper, but
Like a ranger.
yeah, kind of. Um, and so they were following him around and he was going on like a suicide watch, um, just to try and see if there were any people that he could coerce out of
Okay.
doing it. So they basically like look for tents and stuff that are kind of, or people that just look like they
Look
don't.
off. Yeah.
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 So, and then they try and talk them out of doing things, like they strike up a conversation with them, like they're friendly to them.
That's
It's,
crazy that there's so many that they have a position like that.
yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy. And even in this video, it was really awful because they had found remains
Mm,
while going through the forest. And I know they're talking about how it's really beautiful, but the shots that they got of it, it was just, it looked really creepy.
yeah, yeah,
Like it wasn't, to me, it didn't look like a beautiful forest.
yeah,
It was just so, it was very sad looking.
yeah.
The quiet is what the majority of visitors in Japan's suicide forest claim to recall. The forest floor is formed of volcanic rock, which is cooled lava from Mount Fuji's huge 864 eruption. Beneath the downed branches and decomposing leaves, hard and porous, the stone is covered in small holes that absorb the sounds.
Oh, okay.
Visitors claim that in the silence, every breath sounds like thunder, loud and booming. The soil in the forest contains a lot of magnetic iron as well, which interferes with GPS, compasses, and even mobile phone reception. So I'm wondering if not all of these deaths are purposeful,
Yeah,
if they're
yeah,
getting lost,
yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a calm, solemn spot and quiet. Solemn individuals have passed. That's a really stupid fucking sentence. It's really calm and solemn. There we go.
Yeah.
The number of deaths in suicide forest is thought to reach 100 per year,
Wow.
despite reports being purposefully obscured in recent years.
Mm.
And we will get to that and why they do that. Aokigahara is long been played by macabre legends. The earliest are unproven rumors of an old Japanese tradition called, this is the one I couldn't. Um, I'm going to pronounce it how it's spelled.
Okay.
Cool.
Yep.
This old Japanese tradition is called ubasute. An elderly dependent relative, usually a woman, might be taken by her family to a secluded region and left to die during feudal times when food was short and the situation became severe. Many academics contest that genocide was ever widespread in Japanese culture, suggesting that the practice itself may be more myth than actuality.
Okay.
However, stories of Ubasute have appeared in Japanese poetry and mythology, where they have since become associated with the spooky, silent suicide forest.
Mm.
The yurei, or ghosts, that tourists claim to have seen in Aokigahara were initially thought to be the enraged spirits of the dead who had been left to starve and be at the mercy of Mother Nature. But in the 1960s, when the forest's complicated, lengthy history with suicide began, everything started to alter. The phantoms of the woods now are thought to be the thousands of depressed people who came there to die by suicide. According to folklore, they are vengeful, committed to torturing tourists and luring the depressed and disoriented off their intended path.
Oh, jeez.
Many people believe that a book is to blame for the revival of the macabre popularity of the forest. Seicho Matsumoto's famous novel, Kuroi Jukai, often translated as The Black Sea of Trees, was published in 1960. And the story's lovers commit suicide in Aokigahara Forest.
Uh,
Tourists reported seeing decomposing bodies in Aokigahara as early as the 1950s. What brought the brokenhearted to the forest in the first place is unknown, but its current reputation as Japan's suicide forest is both deserved and undeniable. An annual search of bodies has been conducted by a tiny army of police, volunteers, and media since the early 1970s.
wow.
Almost never do they depart without finding something.
Oh.
The number of remains retrieved from the woodland has dramatically risen in recent years, peaking in 2004 with the discovery of 108 bodies in various states of decay.
Oh my gosh.
And it only accounts the bodies that the searchers were able to locate.
Yeah.
Many more have vanished beneath the tree's twisted, winding roots, and some have been taken by animals and eaten. The Golden Gate Bridge is the only other place in the world where suicide rates are higher than in Aokigahara. It is no secret that the woods have become the ultimate resting place of a great number of people. There were initiatives sought to lower the suicide rates in Japan by 20% over a 7-year period. These precautions included strengthening patrols and placing security cameras at Aokigahara's entrance. Police and suicide prevention specialists have also placed signs with words like, "Think carefully about your children, your family, and your life is a beautiful gift from your parents," along the routes that wind through the forest. Patrols frequently scour the region in an effort to politely reroute guests who don't appear to be considering making the trip back.
Mm.
And in the video I watched, they had come across a tent and it was just kind of like in the middle of the path. And the guy just said that he was just camping.
Mm-hmm.
And the prevention guy was basically just like, "You can't stay here. You need to leave. Like, you're not allowed to camp here." And he was making conversation and being very polite, asking about him, how he was doing. And he said that the guy seemed better after the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I feel just like people just need that little talk too,
Little
right?
something, yeah.
2010 saw 247 attempts at suicide in the woods,
Oh my gosh.
of which 54 were successful. The most frequent cause of death is typically by hanging, with drug overdoses coming in second.
Oh my gosh.
The Japanese government stopped disclosing the totals out of concern that they would inspire others to follow in the footsteps of the deceased.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Hence, there has been no data in the recent years.
Yeah.
Many visitors to Japan's suicide forest are simply tourists. Not all of them are contemplating ending their life. However, even visitors can find it difficult to ignore the forest's reputation. People who go off the path occasionally come upon unsettling remnants of earlier tragedies, dispersed personal items. The forest floor has been found covered in moss with shoes, pictures, briefcases, notes, and torn clothing. And even in the video, they had found someone's remains.
Mm.
And the guy was like, he was so upset.
Oh.
He's like, it doesn't get easier.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah. In Japan, self-inflicted death is not as stigmatized as it is in other countries. Seppuku, or the honorable suicide of a samurai, is a tradition that extends back to feudal Japan. Although the practice is no longer common, Yoshinori Cho, author of Why Do People Commit Suicide and head of the psychiatry department at Taiko University in Kawasaki, said in an interview with the Japan Times that vestiges of the seppuku culture can be seen today in the way suicide is viewed as a way of taking responsibility.
Mm.
And that's my story.
I don't like that cultural thought because, yeah, I don't like it. But
I feel like it's kind of
culture.
Yeah. And the interesting part about this forest is that people going in, if they're contemplating it and aren't totally sure that they want to go through with it, they bring tape or ribbon with them and kind of line it through the trail so that they can find their way back if they decide against it.
That's good.
Yeah. So,
well, that was very interesting, but very depressing.
I'm so sorry.
Let me get you some Halloween jokes.
Thanks.
What can you catch from a vampire in the winter?
What can I catch from a vampire in the winter?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Frostbite.
Oh, okay. I like
that. Where do ghosts go on holidays?
Bahamas.
Yes.
Yeah. I loved that.
Okay, last one. Where do fashionable ghosts shop?
Where do fashionable ghosts shop?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Boutiques.
Aww. Cute. It would have been cute as where do bougie ghosts shop?
Oh, yeah. Boutiques. I like it. Well, if you want more of us lovely ladies, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And if you'd like to rate and review us, you can do so on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you would like to send us any of your stories, experiences, suggestions for us to do better for you guys.
Yeah.
Or if there's anything different that you'd like to see, you can email us at historiesandmysteries515@gmail.com or any of our social media platforms.
Yeah. And we look forward to bringing you 2 new stories next week.
Bye.
Bye.